Now, for news media, facts should be paramount. And if someone's wrong, then that should be demonstrated with facts. But journalists these days seem to be just like politicians, more interested in positioning themselves rather than the cold, hard facts. Take the treatment of Pauline Hanson, who got her wish of a parliamentary inquiry into family law issues, complete with a deputy chair position for herself, and then she started raising some issues the inquiry should examine.
Hearing of too many cases where children, or parents I should say, are using domestic violence to stop the other parent from seeing their children. Perjury is in our system, but they're not charged with perjury.
Now, the One Nation leader said she was, of course, totally opposed to domestic violence, but insisted that false claims were an issue.
I think that a lot of the women out there abuse the system by instigating false DVOs against their former partners or their husbands who use that to further their needs. I think there are some lawyers out there that also push that point of view. I think that's unfair to these fathers.
According to journalists, at least, these comments immediately sparked what they like to call outrage. One Nation leader Pauline Hanson has caused outrage after making a series of comments on ABC Radio this morning, implying women who report domestic violence are often lying, said news.com.au. Pauline Hanson sparks fury with claimed domestic violence victims are lying to family court, shouted The Guardian Australia's headline. The bold and oft-repeated line was that Hanson was wrong, that what she claimed was untrue. The Sydney Morning Herald's David Lisa wrote that Hanson was already demonstrating her lack of fitness for the job by accusing women of fabricating domestic violence claims in order to get custody of their children. The Guardian's Catherine Murphy wrote Hanson was kicked off, or has kicked off, with inflammation, ventilating the old chestnut that women are making up domestic violence claims in custody battles. 9 newspapers found expert opinion, with Jacqueline Maley and Bianca Hall quoting former Family Court Chief Justice Elizabeth Evatt, saying that the claims women fabricate family violence complaints is appalling and not true. Channel 10's The Project said Pauline Hanson was attacking victims.
Tonight, Pauline Hanson slammed for claiming some women lie about domestic violence.
There are people who are nothing but liars and will use that in the court system.
Pauline Hanson has sparked outrage, taking aim at domestic violence victims today.
Wow, that escalated quickly, didn't it? Hanson said some women make false complaints. Next minute, she was wrong, running an old chestnut, and was even apparently attacking victims. But what about the facts? Some people at least tried to find out. Back on Radio National, where Hanson made her first comments, they went to Dr Jane Wangman from University of Technology, Sydney, an expert who said Hanson was wrong and referred to child abuse studies in Canada and Australia.
They have found that allegations that are false are very, very small, so ranging between 4 and 12%. There is absolutely no evidence to support that this is a widespread concern in which we might need to have an inquiry.
Hang on a second, 4 to 12%? She later said it was the Australian study that found 12% false claims. Wasn't that evidence that Hanson was right? If more than 1 in 10 claims are false, isn't that an issue? Incredibly, the ABC's Hamish McDonald didn't make that point or ask that question. Easy to stick with the Hanson is wrong narrative, I suppose. Hanson or the truth. It tied many journalists in knots.
The fact is, there is no evidence of this. The studies that we have, they are few and far between, but we do have ones that have come out of Australia and also of Canada that show actually it's not women at all who make up stories. It's men. Sometimes it's neighbours, sometimes it's extended family members, and I think 14% of the time in the Canadian study was women. So that's just outright not true.
It's not true. It's never women. 14% are women. Are you confused? Perhaps for clarity, we ought to head back to the project.
Yes. What do you make of Pauline's comments? Are false abuse claims a big problem in our family courts?
No. And we actually have data for a really long time telling us what about the average number of false claims are, or deliberately false allegations. They're at about 10%.
Again, 10% false claims? Again, that demonstrates Hanson was right. Again, the media pretend she is wrong. They say she's wrong. They tell audiences that black is white. Do they really take their audiences for complete fools? This submission by West Australian legal academic and human rights activist Dr Augusto Zimmerman went to another parliamentary inquiry 2 years ago and cited surveys showing more than half of all people believe some women fabricate claims. And he had more evidence from practitioners. For instance, a survey of 38 magistrates in Queensland revealed that 74% of them agreed with the assumption that family violence orders are often used for tactical purposes. Similarly, a survey of 68 magistrates from New South Wales indicates that 90% of them agreed with the statement that these orders are often sought as tactical devices to aid applicants with family law disputes, including depriving the former partners of any contact with their children. Facts, evidence, reality. It's out there if you look around, if you listen and if you apply some common sense. I suppose journalists don't want ever to agree with Pauline Hanson, so they go with the flow and tell us she is wrong, even when she is right. Child psychologist Claire Rowe deals in family court matters day in and day out, and I spoke to her today on the Kenny Report.
People lie, they become desperate. It happens.
So when Pauline Hanson says there is a problem with women lying about domestic violence against men in order to get sole custody of children, forget about a myriad of other issues we could talk about, when she says that, she's speaking the truth.
Yeah, we need to come down to facts and have a very kind of middle ground discussion here. And I think that kind of emotional, inflammatory statements on both sides aren't helpful. Now, when you come down to it, it happens. It happens. I see it weekly. I see it in my rooms. Now, that's anecdotal clinical evidence on my part, but it happens, absolutely.
You see fathers who are denied access because of lies told against them?
Yes, and mothers. I see parents in general denied access for months or years at a time. By the time we work out whether these claims are substantiated or they're dismissed, often a parent has not seen that child for a very long time.
There you have it. Women make false claims. So do men. It's an issue. One of the issues the inquiry should examine. Pauline Hanson was right.